Welcome to Democracy 2.0 with, who are we? Wayne Bouchard. We don't pronounce the second D, the D in the name. Anyway, presented on malcolmpresents.com. Good afternoon, Wayne. How you doing?
I'm a little wet. It's
Uh-oh.
kind of a miserable day here. We're getting a lot of rain.
By the way, is the Yankee game going to be today? Or is it rained out?
If it's scheduled for tonight, then it's probably going to be rained out. Let me check.
I'm not sure what time. I think 4:30, 7:30 tonight.
I'm not a Yankee fan, so I don't care.
We know the Dodgers aren't playing there. They, as I say, I go. My loyalty goes back to Brooklyn. I just recently became a Los Angeles Dodger fan.
I don't know.
Let's see if I have it on my.
No, the Astros in the they're playing now.
No, that's not the Astros. It's they're playing, I think, Cleveland. Let's see. Is the Yankee games today? I'm going to my Google.
Postponed.
Postponed.
Yep, they already postponed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the game canceled. Yes. I can't, for some reason, I guess Indians were a bad. I don't know if Indians are a bad name. Are Indians a bad name? Because now it's the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, Native Americans got a little upset about.
I could see the Redskins being, the Washington Redskins. I don't know. They're the Commanders or something now.
Yeah, which is a horrible name.
But the Cleveland Guardians sound like an insurance company. Oh, yes, I have my insurance by the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, I don't like it either. But hey, nobody asks me.
Oh, I do.
Okay, so
okay. Today we have the last of the Senate Investigation Committee on January 6th. What do you think of it?
Well, it's the House committee, not Senate.
Oh, excuse me.
I apologize for having to correct you, but
no. Listen, I say lots of things that I don't mean. I keep on saying President Bush when I mean President Biden. So I mean, different words come out. I think as we get older, you think in your mind, but different words come out.
Yeah, well. So the hearing today, the big news out of the hearing, I think, as far as everybody's going to be concerned, is that the committee voted unanimously to issue a subpoena to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I heard that one.
And of course, Trump immediately responded as to why they didn't ask him to come sooner. And of course, the committee had an answer for that. And the answer was that, it has taken them all this time to sift through all this evidence. And they've come to the conclusion that at the center of all of these activities was Donald Trump. So now they want to hear from him.
Now the question is, will he come willingly?
He never. And there's not enough time to litigate this before, because the general consensus of opinion is that the House of Representatives is going to be taken over by Republicans. They'll dismantle the January 6th committee and then open up an impeachment committee and impeach Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and maybe a few others while they're at it. So.
I mean, I wonder whether they'll impeach us because we're not too kind with him. That would be good. I want to be impeached. Well, I
Yeah,
can't.
I don't think you can be impeached.
I don't have.
You're not a constitutional officer.
Oh, okay. What can I be that would create viewers for the show?
I don't know, but you should say something really outlandish, and maybe it'll go viral, I
Well,
guess.
like I think Trump should be tried and convicted and put in jail for the rest of his life. But a lot of people say that.
Yeah, no, that's not outlandish enough.
But the problem is there's so many things that he's done. I like what he says. He said the other week, he said, no other president has been treated like me. Of course not. No president had been as corrupt as you.
That's also true. I think that I think that they alluded to the fact that they are going to make the committee is going to make recommendations to the Justice Department. Criminal. I think they call them criminal referrals. And other than Roger Stone, John Eastman,
Giuliani,
maybe Giuliani, and can't remember who the other one was, and Donald Trump. So those, I think, did you watch the hearings today?
I watched part of them.
I think the most stunning part of the hearings were the film that's never been shown before of the congressional leaders.
Oh yeah, but Pelosi and Schumer
and huddled there at Fort. What was the name of the Fort? Something or other. Fort Meade.
Fort Sumter.
Was Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Kevin. Huh?
McCarthy.
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy, a couple of the underlings of McCarthy, and they're all huddled together. And I think they were talking with the Justice Department. It was either the Justice Department or the Department of Defense. The one question that sticks out in my mind is, I mean, and this footage, by the way, was really, I got kind of emotional watching this footage, because here are the leaders of the country, and Nancy Pelosi's on the phone with, I think it was the Department of Justice, the acting Secretary of Defense.
I think the governor of Maryland, or
yeah, but she's saying, just pretend that this was the White House. Send somebody over to help us. It was kind of amazing. It was kind of amazing that that the country had gotten to this point. And I know they were all on the phone with Mike Pence, the vice president. And the interesting contrast was that rather than being on the phone with Donald Trump, they were on the phone with the vice president of the United States, because they all knew that Donald Trump was responsible for the entire fiasco.
right?
And nobody called him. Nobody.
Well, the thing that I found intriguing was the planning of it. That it wasn't all of a sudden a quick get together, that they've been planning for months about getting the the Proud Boys and the Oath Takers or whatever together, and they were going to physically overtake the Congress with their guns. And that was frightening. The whole thing of it was almost like a planned revolution.
Not almost, Malcolm. It was a planned coup to overthrow the government.
Right. And it was
and it started in the summer.
Yeah, well, he was saying, because he knew that he might lose the election.
Right, and he wasn't going to ever admit that he lost.
Right. And
So-
he even told, even though his top people told him that he lost. But it would be interesting to see him accepting the subpoena and going in front of the committee. And I want to see him testifying under oath, because under oath he can't lie. I mean, he can lie, but they could prosecute him for lying, prosecute him for lying.
prosecute. But I don't you think the Justice Department will? I think what'll happen is the Justice Department will indict him for these classified documents that he took from that he took down to Mar-a-Lago, and the state of Georgia is going to indict him for whatever.
I don't know what it is.
Conspiracy to overthrow the election by trying to get the Secretary of State to give him 11,780 votes or whatever it was.
And New York will do the civil suit and take his money away. I think that probably would hurt him most.
And and he got another slap in the arm today when the Supreme Court denied his bid to overturn the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals decision on the Mar-a-Lago case.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that was a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court,
including Clarence Thomas, or did he recuse himself?
He didn't recuse himself.
I was confused. Supposedly, he could have ruled on that alone. I don't know what provision was that. What that was, but supposedly he could have Thomas. It could have been only Thomas's vote with nobody else's. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think had he voted in Trump's favor, all hell would have broke loose.
Well, if it's unanimous, then probably all hell broke loose at his home. Because I don't think Ginny would like that. Maybe he wanted to get rid of her.
It's only speculation. The other interesting thing about the hearings was that they've got now, and it was obvious that they haven't been able to sift through all this stuff because they kept referring to the 1.5 million pages of documentation that they got from the Secret Service.
Yeah.
They kept referring to it, but there were only a couple of minor direct references.
Well, I'm not sure why it took them so long, because I guess I'm sort of like a TV addict. I expect a new hour show each week. Going
right.
straight through.
Right. If there's not a new series on Amazon, Netflix, and Hulu that interests me, I'm kind of pissed.
Right, and I like binge watching. I don't like the series. You have to wait a week for the next one. I don't like that at all. Next one, follow up.
And I think I've discovered that PBS is now selling. If you don't watch, Masterpiece Theater, week after week after week, and I don't know how long it is after they're done with the whole series, then they sell that series to Amazon, who now wants you to pay for it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. First of all, you're paying PBS, and then secondly, you're already paying Amazon, and then they want to charge you again.
Well, you're not paying PBS. PBS is you're donating money, maybe supporting it, but I don't think.
But you can't get the PBS the shows on PBS unless you're supporting PBS.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think I get PBS for free over in California on my TV system.
Wow.
But I don't know. I just get the bill and paid it. And at this point, I'm not even looking. There's so many offshoots, whether you get Amazon, whether you get Hulu, whether you get Disney. One day they're all going to get together and charge you a bloody fortune. Watch next year, and And then
And it's going to be cable all over again.
so well, everything is streaming. That's why, this is what I'm looking forward to doing in our show. It's streamed. Now we're heard internationally. I told you I'm going through starting a new show called We the World, which
Yes.
is in fact we're starting it next week, which basically is a green show. It's about ecology and people trying to save the planet. So I want to start, and maybe even with your help, to do something on just purely politics. So the way I have the my not my email, my Malcolm Presents.
Mhm.
Then when we have the homepage, I'm going to have different categories. So I want to have shows on politics, a show on lifestyle, a show on greening the planet, a show on health, shows on health, and under each category, I'll have a series of shows. So you go on, Malcolm Presents, where now I call it is a portal to the world. You go through there, and it opens up a vast new world.
I am working on, just in my consciousness of my mind, on a panel discussion on converting from fossil fuels to clean energy.
You get a panel show if you can get a weekly show on, not even a weekly show, something each new. We'll start a new show with you guys instead with you, and and I know Megan is your wife is also involved with that, getting her involved on a thing on saving the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll do a whole new series on it.
I just want to do one show, panel discussion.
Well, I want to
Experts.
do a whole series of shows.
Well, if somebody pays me, it would be okay, but
You'll get paid. The problem is, it may not be in this world. You'll
yeah.
when you go to the Heavenly Father, and I'll say, I recognize you. You were doing a lot of Zoom shows on
You were
Malcolm.
doing a lot of good things.
You listen. You never can tell. It's strange. I was just watching two movies. Angel on the Shoulders. I think that was the name of the movie with Paul Muni. Haven't seen that where he's a gangster.
No, and I have a problem with movies, Malcolm. I can watch a movie; it can be an Academy Award-winning performance, and 6 months later, you can ask me about that same movie, and I'll say, "Oh, I never saw it."
Oh, okay. Well,
and then I will convince my wife that I've never seen it, and then we'll put it on again, and then about halfway through, I'll think,
it sounds familiar.
I think I saw this movie. I don't remember anything about movies at all.
Well, this is one of my favorite actors. I don't know if you know, old-time actor, Paul Muni. Are you familiar with him?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
And what was his big one? He played, I think, was that Dr. Ehrlich's Magic Bullet, or that was Edward G. Robinson?
Oh, Edward G. Robinson.
He played.
My Edward G. Robinson. You want to hear my Edward G. Robinson?
Okay, tell me your Edward G. Robinson story.
No, it's not a story. It's a impersonation.
Oh, okay.
You dirty rat!
That's
you dirty rat!
I hate to say it, that's not Edward G. Robinson. That's James Cagney.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I mean, they're both about the same height.
Yeah, well, close enough.
And they're both from New York, but Eddie's Jewish. Jimmy's not. I love this one movie that old movie that James Cagney has, and he's a cab driver. I don't know the movie. I just know the segment of it. He's a cab driver in Manhattan, and there's this Jewish immigrant. You can tell, it's a Hasidic Jew. You can tell the way he's dressed.
Right.
And he's asking a cop directions in Yiddish. He doesn't speak English, and the cop is the typical Irish cop, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And James Cagney is in his cab, and he talks to the the cops tells me, yeah, this guy, I don't know what he's talking about. All of a sudden, Cagney speaks Yiddish to him. And the guy answers in Yiddish, and it turns out it's true. Cagney knew Yiddish because I think either he grew up on the Lower East Side, which was a big Jewish population in his time, at the turn of the 20th century, and some of his good friends were Jewish. It was just funny. Anyway, what does this have to do with politics?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. We had a big announcement today on inflation. Inflation was up again. Social Security Administration is working on a cost of living increase for senior citizens. Senior citizens stand to get a significant bump.
And they'll give us 2%.
I think it's going to be closer to 8 or 9%.
I'll take that.
And let's see what else is going on. I'm going to save room in this segment because you've talked about it all week. Hershall Walker.
I mean, to me, what's so ridiculous, they're not talking about his qualifications for the office. Then, to be a U.S. senator, which at one time I respected the people who were U.S. senators, with the legal degrees and going through all the knowledge of politics and law. And now what are they talking about Hershall Walker? They're talking about whether his girlfriend had an abortion.
Right.
And to me, things, who cares? I want to know, can he serve in the U.S. Senate? Would he be an independent senator, or whether he would follow what all the Republicans would want and not even know what the legislation is?
Well, I think the reason why they're talking about him paying for an abortion is that he is opposed to abortion. And he is in favor of a total ban on abortions throughout the country, and no exceptions made for incest, rape, or the better health of the mother. Yet when it involves him, he's out there paying for
it.
Yeah. And now come to find out, it was apparently very, very difficult for the woman to even get the money out of him. And then she got pregnant again. And I thought to myself, don't any of these guys know anything about birth control? And she gave birth to that one, but he wanted to abort that child also. But the fact is that I don't think, from my way of thinking, listening to Hershall Walker, and it's going to be interesting because he's going to have a debate tomorrow night with the Democratic candidate. I don't think he's qualified to be the mayor of a town of 10,000 people.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the statements that he had, and I forget, I can't quote it. There's one about genetics and whether where do men come from, and it's sort of like we come from the apes, and he said, we don't come from the apes. Go to Africa, there's still apes there. Excuse me. And there was something else that he said, and I forget what it is, but it was so ridiculous. I think, as I mentioned to you before, the only thing Hershall Walker is good for, if it's third down, 2 yards to go, I definitely give him the football. He was a fantastic football player.
Well, not anymore because he's too old.
He's too old. Well, in comparison, but that's what he was qualified for. To be a U.S. senator, I think the Republicans, it says a lot about the Republican Party.
It would be an embarrassment to have him in the Senate.
The only thing I have a question about is in Pennsylvania, with Fetterman and who's it, Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, they brought the that whole thing with Dr. Oz is out of touch because he wanted crudité instead of cut vegetables, which I thought it's ridiculous to bring that up. But
It
Fetterman,
is, except Dr. Oz is really he's a citizen or a resident of New Jersey, not Pennsylvania. He only bought a home over in Pennsylvania just so he could run for the Senate.
were you telling me the story about a lot of people from Pennsylvania went to Jersey, or a lot of Jersey people worked in Pennsylvania?
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you were telling me that story last week, I believe.
yeah. I'm gonna run for governor, and on the platform we're gonna put a wall up at the Delaware water gap and keep Pennsylvanians out of New Jersey because they come over here. They come over here. They steal all our jobs. They steal all the women, and they clog up our roads. And they don't pay any taxes.
I think you should do that, and we'll promote it on Malcolm Presents. I won't charge you anything. I'll take it off as a tax deduction. I would take it off as a tax deduction if I haven't had anything to deduct it against. But we'll maybe give you some sort of illness where you can only talk when you're stuttering, and I don't know. We can make this a whole new campaign,
Yeah.
and we'll.
I think the thing about the crudité, though, Malcolm, was that the majority of Pennsylvanians, you have Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, and Scranton, and maybe Erie are the the major metropolitan centers of Pennsylvania, and the rest of it is all rural. They don't know what the hell a crudité is from a bar mitzvah. So,
yeah, but that was sort of ridiculous to bring that. Yeah, I was trying to figure, what's so funny about crudité?
well, because they're referring to
Chopped vegetables.
Oz elite status. He's a very, very wealthy individual who came over from New Jersey. He's a carpetbagger.
No, it reminds me of, I think it was the first Bush, where when he went shopping and he was amazed by the checkout where they used the scanners. They didn't know how that was done.
Yes, he thought the scanners were just the slickest thing since sliced bread, and we'd had scanners in supermarkets for 20 years.
Right.
But he hadn't been in a supermarket in 20 years.
But it's frightening, I keep on getting, and the more you listen to it, it keeps on changing. Are the Dems going to win? Are the Republicans going to win? But it seems like whichever way it is, it will be a slim in either direction. Slim majority. But if the Republicans get either the House or the Senate, nothing's going to happen in 2 years.
Well, I think that if the House gets control, or if the Republicans get control of the House, they will institute all sorts of impeachment inquiries against the Democrats. It'll just be chaos. And I heard an interesting thing today from one of these, quote, legal experts, and he said, I'm tired of hearing all these people talking about if we had another January 6th, or if this happens, or if that happens, we'll have a constitutional crisis. He said, we need to face the facts. We are in the middle of a constitutional crisis right now. That's where we are.
Could be, but it's even more frightening as far as democracy is concerned, is whether the Republicans gain enough Senate majorities that where they could change the law in the state, rather the state majorities, that they can change the law in each state. So where the electoral college is not determined by the voters, but by the state legislators.
Right. They would have to have control of both the House and the Senate, and that would be the end of the democracy as we know it, because in 2024, Trump would take over and automatically win, because the state legislatures would have the deciding factor. And I'm not sure there are enough state legislators that have the backbone to go up against the Republican Party and Trump.
Well, not if they're Republicans, but the question is, if we did away with the Electoral College and went to a straight popular vote,
Republicans would never win. Never. Because they can't win the popular vote because the Democrats control the major metropolitan centers, and Joe Biden won by 7 or 8 million votes.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. But the Electoral College is set up to give, states like Wyoming and Montana and Iowa and New Hampshire, to make them feel like they're part of the process. And that's why they get 2 senators. I mean, the Senate, the United States Senate is controlled by, I can't remember what it is, something like 28% of the population.
Yeah. If you get 2 senators from North Dakota and 2 senators from
and who the hell ever heard of the senators from North Dakota? When have they had any kind of a meaningful contribution to any legislative process in this country?
That's true.
We're going to get slammed now. We're probably going to get a lot of letters from North Dakota, but
do they write in North Dakota?
Oh, now you're really asking for trouble.
I don't know whether they're literate. Anyway, South Dakota, yes. North Dakota, I'm not sure about because it gets too cold there. But anyway, young man, our time is up. And I don't know if we covered anything that we wanted to cover, but it's been fun.
Well, we covered the main thing you wanted to cover, which was Herschall Walker.
Or if he was Jewish, he would be Hershall Walker. Anyway, send my love to Megan. And I will speak to you next week, and hopefully we'll still have a world. And you just got frozen out, so I'll say goodbye. Speak to you then, kid. Bye-bye.